Story. Chapter 6. The Deal. In the last day of the weekend, Izuku just spent his time with his friends, Ochako, Todoroki, Kaminari, Iida, Jiro, Tsuyu, and Momo. They all always hang out with each other. Now it's Monday, a school day. Izuku and Kaminari made their way to school. Except one is already unmotivated to go. Can we skip for today, Midoriya? Asked Kaminari, slouching his back feeling exhausted. Come on, Kaminari, we both had enough fun for these past 3 days, Izuku told him with a determined smile on his face. But, I'm not in a school mood. Your fault, he flicked Kaminari's forehead which made him jump and walked straight. He held the spot where he flicked. Ow, what did you do that for? There we go, you're finally awake, Izuku chuckled. Kaminari then pouted. But that hurts. Come on. You were such a lazy pants and now you're whining like a big baby. Kaminari whined sarcastically and they both laughed. After that, they saw Todoroki in the entrance, looking down. Hey, Todoroki, Izuku greeted in front of him. Hey, Todoroki, Kaminari clinged his arms around him. How about we skip a little class today since you are also that kind of person who is still in a holiday mood like M. Suddenly, Kaminari stopped talking when Todoroki looked at him. His eyes were full of anger and irritation which made Kaminari taken aback. Can you not talk to me? He growled in annoyance to Kaminari and pushed his arm away from his shoulder harshly, making Kaminari push back. His voice made the two speechless with fear. What's with him? Kaminari's voice was shaky, frightened he was. Todoroki was angry, Izuku muttered. The two then arrived in class and saw Todoroki burying his face in his arms on the table. What happened? Okay, class, go back to your seats as class is about to start soon. Mr. Aizawa said as he entered the classroom. Izuku quickly sat on his seat next to Ochako who was already smiling at Izuku with a wave. Good morning, Uraraka-san. Ochako grinned back. Good morning, Midoriya-kun, she greeted. Yesterday was fun. Izuku nodded. Yeah, especially when we saw the crocodile. Kaminari's expressions, he chuckled. Ochako did as well. I know right. She then imitated Kaminari's expression. Oh my god, it's a dinosaur. She mimicked. The two laughed once again. But I thought they don't exist anymore. How are they here? Izuku continued for her. Both of them laughed even louder. I can't believe he was actually serious, Ochako told through her laughs. Mr. Aizawa then interrupted and announced. Okay, class, I'm going to distribute your topic test from last Thursday. Everyone stopped chattering and paid attention. 100 100s. Midoriya Izuku, he announced in front of the class, as Izuku went there to take the paper. As expected from the smartest, Kirishima said from afar which made Izuku quirked a bit. Congrats, Midoriya-kun. Ochako congratulated him. Izuku gave her a thumbs up. Promoted stories. You'll also like, I Hate and Love You. 249k 4.6k. An Izwocha fanfiction where Deku and Uraraka had a fight in kindergarten which led to something worse. But maybe they can be friends or perhaps more. Non-Quirko rated. The support general course. Quirkless. Deck. 40.7k 1.3k. Izuku got into UA, just not the hero course. Taking both support and general classes, Izuku aims to graduate from UA after giving up on his hero dreams. Quirkless is. The 1 tilde Todoroki X reader, check mark. 772k 22.4k in quad. It's just, and quad. Her eyes were brimming with tears. No, please don't cry, I silently begged, I can't stand to see you hurt. And quad. I. Don't want to see any of. Plus Ultra Shoto Todoroki X Reader X Izuku. 841K 24.9K. Being rewritten. You and your twin brother, Katsuki Bakugo, have been close your whole life. Even through you two were close, you've always been homeschooled, for Reese. Key holder Boku no Hero Academia fanfic. 2652. First, there was ice. Pain followed. This is how it has always been. But when you're hurt and alone, will anyone come to help, despite all your missteps? Fumiko Hanab. Get a hint, will you? 3.3K32. Hey everyone. This is actually my first story, so I really apologize for any spelling, grammar mistakes. Completed. There will be bonus chapters, though. Related and not. Lover's Day. Izuku Midoriya X Reader X Bakug. 181K 6.1K. Valentine's Day competition. At your Hero Academia. What will happen when an innocent holiday becomes a vicious competition? Friends become rivals. Rivals remain Thank you. He smiled. Mr. Aizawa then continued. 98 100ths. Bakugo Katsuki. Izuku and the whole class was surprised. Usually, he would only get a passing grade, but this was a first. Izuku stared at him getting his paper. He looked pretty annoyed. After that, Mr. Aizawa continued announcing everyone's grades. 73 100ths. Todoroki Shoto. Todoroki stood up slowly, making his chair dragged with a lot of noises, which caught the whole class attention. He walked towards Mr. Aizawa with a depressed look on his face. As he took the paper, Mr. Aizawa spoke. Todoroki, why the long face? Mr. Aizawa then nodded after Todoroki shook his head as a response. Suddenly, the whole atmosphere around them became moody because of him. Mr. Aizawa still continued. 72 100ths. Uraraka Ochako. Hearing those made Izuku brightened up. He felt happy for her. She then took the paper with a big smile from Mr. Aizawa. Midoriya-kun, she said quietly with all the joy coming out of her as she showed her paper. Izuku smiled widely with crescent eyes forming. He was very proud of her. After class ended, Izuku was about to go to Todoroki so that they can go to the cafeteria together for lunch as always, but Todoroki left without him. Izuku didn't say a word, but he thinks it was personal problems and he didn't want to interfere about it, so he just shrugged it off. He was in the hallway and putting his books in his locker. As he closed it, he was about to go to the cafeteria, but then a hand grabbed his back collar harshly and he was dragged from behind. Oh ow, hey, who's tea? When the hand left his collar, he turned around just to see an angry blonde boy, glaring at him with all his might. Be Bakugo, he said to himself, afraid. Izuku glanced around the surroundings and found themselves at the back of the school compound. Why did you bring me her? Listen, Midoriya, I don't want you talking to me because I only brought you here to talk to you, and the only thing you have to do is to listen and agree with me, understand? His voice was raising and raising as he spoke. Izuku just nodded, obeying the guy. I'm noticing how you and Uraraka are getting close, he told him. Izuku furrowed his eyebrows, confused. Why is he telling him this? He then proceeded. You're actually getting too close, he emphasizes. Izuku can't help but to just nod at him as an answer. He didn't want Bakugo punching him next if he talks back at him. You like her, don't you? He said with a low voice. Izuku didn't respond. He didn't know what to say. He didn't want to disagree or agree with that question. You like her, don't you? He raised his voice, making Izuku jump. Izuku started to shake. No. Don't lie to me, you bastard. He punched the wall next to him and Izuku was already frightened with such impact he put in that punch. He didn't want it in his face next. Really? I don't have any interest on liking her, he truthfully said. He thought he did. Bakugo kept silent, keeping those glaring eyes. I know you're not telling truth. Izuku continued shaking because he didn't know what to say next. I know you like her, even though you're saying those lies, Bakugo told him, releasing his hand from the wall, revealing a small crack on it. Listen up, you're getting closer and closer with that girl, he said, but Izuku was still confused up until now. That girl is my friend since kindergarten and I'm here to tell you that she's mine. Izuku's breath stopped shaking and his eyebrows furrowed. So you like her? Bakugo clicked his tongue in annoyance. I just came straight to the point and you're repeating of what I already told you, idiot. Izuku didn't jump or anything but continued that face which made Bakugo a bit taken aback. Oh, you're not scared, so you do like her, Izuku repeated and looked down, covering his eyes with his hair. Bakugo furrowed his eyebrows. So what if I do? Silence came between the two and Izuku let in a sharp gasp. I'm sorry for interfering with the both of you. He bowed down. Silence filled the air. Bakugo was shocked. He didn't expect him to give an answer like that. What's wrong with you? To be honest, I'm not so sure if I like her or do I want to let her go for you, but I know that she will never love a person like me and I don't want to continue these confusing feelings I'm having because I'm afraid that it will ruin our friendship, he told him, still bowing. I'm sorry, I'm totally such a burden between you two. I will let you have her and make both of you spend more time with each other. Bakugo kept silent for a while, leaving Izuku bowing to him, waiting for his reply. Alright, weirdo, now leave her alone. Izuku looked up slowly and nodded. I will, he said. I have no right to steal Ochako away from you. Actually, Izuku felt his heart being shredded into pieces. He does want to be friends with Ochako, but as they are getting closer, he has been experiencing these weird feelings and he was afraid of it every day, making him confused. It's better to not get too close to her before Izuku will finally realize his feelings and broke their friendship, and he didn't want that. Now scram, Bakugo said, and Izuku showed him an angry look, facing away and walked back inside the class. Izuku stopped his tracks and grabbed his chest tightly and began to tear up a bit. What should I do? After school, Izuku was trying his best to not talk to Ochako, but luckily, Ochako didn't approach to him all morning, but just gave a wave. Kaminari and Izuku were walking back home after school. Hey, you alright? Kaminari asked him out of the blue, making Izuku jolt a bit. What? Oh, yeah, I guess, he shrugged. Kaminari raised an eyebrow with a pout. He then clinged his arms around Izuku's neck. Ah, Kaminari, Izuku said, looking at the guy with a big smile on his face. Don't worry, if you have any problems in your head, feel free to tell me, he told him. Izuku then looked down slowly. It's fine. It's really nothing. His voice was dull. Kaminari didn't want to force him, so he just continued walking, still clinging on Izuku's neck. Midoriya, isn't that? Kaminari saw someone sitting on the curb in front of Izuku's house. Todoroki, Izuku called, running towards him. Both of them looked in front of the guy, who was looking down. Are you okay? Why are you here? Izuku squatted down to see Todoroki's face. Izuku's eyes widened in terror with the sight he's seeing. There, he sees Todoroki's face full of bruises and red marks which were all swollen and tears coming out of his eyes. Todoroki, both of them said in sync. They brought him inside the house, in the living room. Izuku let Todoroki sit on the couch and Kaminari prepared a glass of water and a packet of ice. Todoroki, what happened? Izuku asked him, worried. Kaminari set the glass of water on the table and offered him the packet. Todoroki took the packet, rested it on the bruised areas on his face. Can you guys help me? After he said that, he cried once again, gritting his teeth and shutting his eyes tightly. The two of them stared at him, concerned. Izuku caressed his back softly. Of course we'll help. Kaminari nodded. Now tell us what's wrong. Todoroki's cry got softer and softer until he finally calmed himself down. Yaoyaruzu. Izuku and Kaminari looked at each other. He continued his sentence. Is getting married. Married. Izuku shouted in shock. But she's not even in the legal age and getting married. Kaminari talked as well. Todoroki sighed. Her father arranged a marriage for her with a guy because those two families are damn business partners, he answered with a dangerous angry tone. Izuku's eyebrows furrowed. Did you go to their house? Todoroki nodded after a few seconds. Then, those bruises came from. Quote dot dot dot. The dad, Kaminari continued. Todoroki gritted his teeth furiously. Which means they weren't wrong. Izuku sighed, didn't know what to do or to say to him. What should I do? Let her go just like that? Todoroki's mouth was trembling. Kaminari replied, of course not. Todoroki widened his eyes, looking at the guy who was with a serious look. Kaminari, Todoroki said under his breath. You both like each other. Everyone knows that, even you. So you should fight for her. Do you think she'll be happy marrying off such a stranger? Todoroki kept silent, with a sad look on his face. Kaminari then proceeded, I know you're not a coward. I know you can fight. Because you're a good person who makes people happy. And you should do the same to Yaoyaruzu and yourself this time. Todoroki's devastated look turned into a normal one and he added a small smile. He teared up again. Why, you're right. Thank you, Kaminari. Kaminari smiled back and gave him a thumbs up. I believe in you, Todoroki. Izuku looked at Kaminari. He was surprised with the words that came out of his mouth. But he looked down, sadly. What if I told Kaminari about what's happening between me and Uraraka-san? He will talk to me like this, but the only difference is that I won't agree with what he's saying. I'm sorry, Kaminari. I can't tell you about it now. All I can say is that. I'm such a coward. Thanks, Kaminari, Midoriya. See you tomorrow. Todoroki bid his goodbye to them after staying in Izuku's house for an hour. I hope he'll be okay, Izuku told to Kaminari, still worried. Don't worry, Midoriya, he can do it. Kaminari, being the optimistic man he is, made Izuku a bit brightened up. Ah, Midoriya, how about you? You still okay? Izuku immediately avoided eye contact and forceful smile on his face. Yeah, I am. Don't worry about this guy. He pointed to himself. Kaminari stared at him without giving a reply back. Izuku began sweating. Kaminari sighed and smiled after that. All right, then. Izuku mentally sighed in relief and nodded back at him. After that, he went to his room and landed on his bed, flat on his back. He stared up at the ceiling and said to himself, this is the first time to overthink of someone. After a few minutes, Izuku wanted to clear his mind by reading his textbooks or whatsoever. While studying, Kaminari barged in his room and his face appeared with smirk. There's a very special guest from the other side calling for a person named Midoriya. He then gave him a wink. Izuku instantly stood up with a smile. Uraraka-san, he said to himself. But then his smile faded away after that. Tell her I'm busy right now, he told him, sitting back down. Kaminari furrowed his eyebrows, very confused with his answer. Okay, then, he said unsurely, going back inside his room. He saw Ochako outside of the window, looking at the door but only finding Kaminari entering. Sorry, Uraraka-san, he said he's busy right now. Ochako immediately nodded with a smile. It's fine. It's not like it isn't normal for people be busy, right? She told him. I understand, thanks, Kaminari-kun. Good night, she said before she closed the window and curtains. Kaminari closed the window and sat on the bed. Yeah, I am. Don't worry about this guy. Kaminari talked under his breath. I'm worried about you now. Inside the other room, Izuku cursed to himself multiple times, harshly writing on his book until his pencil lead broke. He started shaking and he couldn't control himself. He placed his face in his two hands and rested it there. I'm sorry, Uraraka-san. Then tears formed in his eyes. Dash dot. Things are getting a little complicated here whoops. Hope y'all guys enjoy reading it. I forgot to mention but Happy New Year to you. Free hope you all have a good one this year. Please vote in once again, I really appreciate it. See you in the next chapter guy SSS heart 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 heart. Where stories live. Discover now.